To begin our meditation together, I'd like to invite you to sit straight, sit comfortably on a chair, on a cushion, or on the floor. Returning to your awareness through your breathing. You can start with 3 long and deep breaths. First, we'll practice mindful breathing meditation. Be aware of your breathing. Breathing in, I'm aware of my in-breath. Breathing out, I'm aware of my out-breath. In, out. While you breathe in, your mind may wander. Just gently invite the mind back to the breathing. Breathing in, my breath grows deep. Breathing out, my breath goes slowly. Deep, slow. Now that you have established rhythm of your breathing, do a gentle scan of your whole body. Breathing in, I'm aware of my head. Breathing out, I relax my head. And do that for the whole body. Now that you are surrounding yourself with mindfulness energy, we can go a little bit deeper into our emotions. Your mind or your heart may feel something. Some emotion is arising in me. I breathe in. And when I breathe out, that emotion or feeling dissolves. Breathing in, I'm aware of my emotion. Breathing out, it dissolves through my out breath. In, aware. Out, dissolve. Now that we have established a strong connection between body and mind, let's invite them to be in the present moment. Being in the present moment, I breathe in. Enjoying the present moment, I breathe out. Being present, enjoying. With the energy of mindfulness that we have generated, we send this joy and happiness and calm and peace to our loved ones, our friends, and all sentient beings. We will conclude our practice today, a long and deep breath. And we can slowly open our eyes. If you like, you can rub your hands together, make it warm, and put it on your eyes and your face. Thank you for your practice. During meditation, I feel a kind of joy that we I don't know is that energy went through my body. It's like I'm being in the present with all of you in person, not on Zoom. And the quiet and the energy is so wonderful. But I'm not dwelling in that space. I'm aware of that energy. Just want to share with you. All right. Welcome to second class, and most of you are still here. That's a good sign. For those who answer my email, thank you, and I learned a lot from you and your practice and where you are in terms of spiritual practice. So that helped me and the team to organize the class accordingly. Many of you are beginners, and many of you have been practicing for a long time. So this is a good mixture. Something will be new to you, and something will be a repetition. But repetition is always good to hear it for the first time, second time, third time. It will be valuable if we really dive deep into that thing that we hear repeatedly. So this at the end of the meditation, I said something about sharing the merit of practice. That is what setting intention means. So when we do something, we want to set our intention first. It is very similar to intentional actions, intentional speech, intentional thought, intentional thinking. So that is what we call karma, right? So in Buddhism, karma is just our intentional action through our body, our speech, or our mind. So when we practice Buddhism, pure intention is when we learn and we practice, it is the most important aspect to receive direct transmission from Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. What do I mean by pure intention? It is the intention that is free from discrimination, judgment, and prejudices. For instance, a pure intention may be, my intention in this class is to cultivate a deep sense of, forgive myself and forgive others. Whenever I observe a thought of judgment or discrimination, I will stop, breathe, and use the power of compassion to take care of that thought. So that is the intention we want to generate, we want to nurture, not only in this setting, but also in your life. When you wake up, just set a good, wholesome intention for your day. Maybe you will not carry that out during the day, but it is a seed in your mind, and that seed will eventually grow if you provide conducive conditions for that seed. So with pure intention, you may not be able to answer all your questions or carry out everything that you intend to do, but you invite learning opportunity and allow growth to happen, right? So it's like the rain, it falls down without any discriminations. So your intention is like that. Good intention is like that, right? All right, that's the first thing. Before we dive into this class today. So last time I mentioned in the email, I mentioned that we have a practice that is called spiritual companion or spiritual buddy. It is not mandatory that you have to be a spiritual buddy for someone. You do not have to even help them to solve their problem. or have the responsibility to advise them on anything. It's just like a sangha, right? A sangha is a community of people who live in harmony and awareness, right? So a sangha can be 2 people, 3 people, more the more the better, you know. It's you practice together. Like we're here, we are spiritual buddies, right? We remind each other to practice and share the fruits of practice. In our modern world, people are like connected more, but many people feel that, you know, feel they are lonely more than ever, right? That is the intention behind creating a spiritual body system. It is your sangha, you know. We are your big sangha, you know. Sangha simply means a community, you know. We practice together. This community could be 2 or more, and we, in the future, maybe in the next 2 or 3 class, we will make a sign-up sheet for those who are interested in this practice. Ideally, I want you to meet and to be buddy with new members, with someone you don't know yet, you know, not just your friends. But for now, let's do it your way. You sign up and you choose whoever you want to be a spiritual companion. If you know someone in this class, pair with that person, and also please include another person that you don't know. So that could be 3 or 4 people in one, you know, sangha. For those for those of you who feel that you're not sure yet, you don't want to take that big responsibility, it's fine. I will let you decide as we go forward. But remember, this is a great opportunity to connect and support each other. It is one of the central themes of this sutra. So as we dive deeper into this sutra, we will see how important it is to, you know, support each other and who the Buddha will support, right? Okay, last class I said something about middle way, and I leave it like that. And this middle way made many people lost. So we will clarify something today. So when you hear the word way, don't imagine it's like a road. No, it's not a road. It is a perspective. So when I said middle way is faster than highway and slower than local way, sometimes it's a figure of speech, right? It is to confuse your thoughts, your habitual thinking, you know, because when you hear the word middle way or middle path, you would immediately think about something in between 2 things. That is correct, but there's more than that, you know. When I say middle way, I want you to suspend all preconceived notion of what is being discussed and to return or to go beyond that, right? So during this class, we will see different themes, different teachings. And I say, okay, now how do we use middle way in this? That means just suspend whatever you have in mind and think about something that is opposite or go beyond that, you know. So that is what I want to share about middle way. Originally, the Buddha talked about middle way in a different sense. He talked about middle way in many senses. Like he was a prince who enjoyed, you know, luxurious way of life, right? It is called self-indulgence. And then when he renounced the world, he practiced something called self-modification or self-torture, right? And those 2 methods are not good. So the Buddha advised us to choose the middle one. So that is the first indication of middle way, right? So don't indulge yourself too much, and don't torture yourself. For example, when you sit and practice and you feel your back is so, painful, just lay down. You don't have to keep doing that. But when you want to practice, but then you also want to lay down, when you want to sleep more, then that is something you have to wake up to do the practice. So the middle way is like that, And the middle way here is the 8 Noble Path. I'm not sure if you are familiar with this. If you're not, please send me an email, because this is the middle way that the Buddha discovered about 8 Noble Paths. And you can also Google this as well. And later in Mahayana Buddhism, Nagarjuna was someone who established middle way school, and this is very philosophical and would require certain levels of Buddhist study to understand. So we just skip this for now. For the purpose of this class, understand this: any attachment to view, and that is extreme and is regarded as not middle, right? So view between non-self and self is also not a middle way, right? Middle way here is to free oneself from these extreme views, right? So that's all for clarifications. And if you still have questions about any of those, please feel free to ask here or send email to me. And if you ask here, it would be beneficial for many people. All right, so let's dive into this beautiful and profound sutra. Today we have 2 people who will be reading the sutra, and we will do like this. So the first one will read the first setting, read the whole thing, okay? And then we will study the sutra. Later, when we finish study the sutra, remind me to invite the second person to read it again, that when we have an understanding of the sutra, let's see if we understand it and hear it differently, right? So now please share the screen so that our friend will do the first reading for the setting. Who is reading first? We have Jeff and David, right? So Jeff, maybe you can go first.
Sure. Thank you, Tay. Ayudapan. This is what I heard one time when the Buddha was staying in the monastery in Anathapindika Park in the Jeddah Grove near Savatthi, with a community of 1,250 bhikkhus, fully ordained monks. That day, when it was time to make the rounds for alms, the Buddha put on his Sangati robe and, holding his bowl, went to the city of Savatthi to seek alms food, going from house to house. When the alms round was completed, he returned to the monastery to eat the midday meal. Then he put away his Sangati robe and his bowl, washed his feet, arranged his cushion, and sat down.
Thank you. Let's spend a few moments to visualize ourselves there in Savatthi, Anathapindika's park, beautiful monastery with more than 1,000 bhikkhus. All right. Okay, so this is what I heard. Last time I already explained a little bit about this phrase. So in some sutra, sometimes it say, "Thus have I heard," right? "Thus have I heard," or "This is what I heard." This phrase is very common in every sutra. It is a start of a sutra by Venerable Ananda. He was the Buddha's cousin and also attendant until the Buddha passed away, right? He was very close to the Buddha, and he heard, supposedly every teaching that the Buddha delivered and remembered them all. So he had excellent memory, and this phrase is important. It means that this is what he heard, and he told us, and he asked us, tell me what you hear. First of all, not everyone hears the same thing, even one thing is spoken, right? It depends on so many factors, such as your understanding, your state of mind at the time when you're hearing it, your willingness to hear it or not. Maybe now I say one thing, but we have like 34 people here in this class who hear different things. When I say, for example, life is suffering, I guess you all will interpret differently. You hear differently. You all listen to what I say, but you will hear different things. Some of you may refer to your experience of suffering. Some may disagree with me. Some may even do not relate to anything I say because your mind is not here. So this is what I hear because I pay attention to listen. And that is why I hear it. I understand that what I hear may not be similar to the other person's hearing. And that is fine, right? So I do not take that what I hear to be the absolute truth. Furthermore, in order to hear well, we have to suspend all kinds of discrimination and preconception so that our hearing will be fresh and pure. Purity means it does not mix up with other heard things. In my training, I often use the phrase, what I am hearing you say is, and then, rephrase what I heard from the other person's saying. It is to make sure that I have not tried to, interpret the meaning of what is said. It is a way of mindful communication. It allows the other person to hear back what he or she said. It is very humbling and therapeutic. Secondly, it is an invitation to the sutra after you hear what he has heard, what the Ananda heard. For those who come to Buddhism with devotion, they may not question anything from the sutra, right? They see the sutra as the ultimate teaching of the Buddha, and they believe it, wholeheartedly. We will not say it is right or wrong, right? But our Western kind of educated mind does not allow it or cannot let us approach Buddhism simply like that, for better or for worse. The Buddha in Kalama Sutta asks us not to believe immediately in anything, even his teaching. So he allows us to question and experiment his teachings before we take them and put them into practice. So thus have I heard, or this is what I hear, this is what I heard, is also reiterating this sense of questioning. Remember, question everything, even what Ananda said, right? So the sutra you are about to learn is told by what Ananda heard. There's an idiom, I don't know if it's correct, a tale never loses in the telling. Right? So meaning that something that is told by second person, third or fourth person may not be similar to the original one. It is not that we do not trust Ananda's ability to remember. It is an exercise for our mind when we learn the sutra, any sutra. And I also have to remind us that it is not we have to doubt everything we learn. It is I would say a critical way of learning. I call it compassionately critical learning. Okay, compassionately critical learning is an educational philosophy that harmonize empathy with critical thinking. I don't want you to blindly believe in whatever I say or any Dharma teacher says. You have to use compassionately critical thinking mind to to open your mind to diverse viewpoints and experiences. Right? Practitioners are encouraged to be curious and ask questions, right? And they learn to evaluate information, challenge assumptions, and see things from different angles. Because nowadays you see a lot of things people call fake news, and so we have to use our critical mind. But compassion is equally important when you try to interpret anything. So with when a compassionately critical way of learning is applied, the spiritual practice is much stronger. Because you see, when you approach Buddhism with devotion, with faith, if something happens, then you will easily lose your faith in the tradition. But if you have your own method of being critical and being compassionate with whatever is whatever you learn, that learning and practice stick stronger in your mind. And regardless of what people do, your faith, your confidence in the practice is still there. Final point for thus have I heard is, what are we going to do after we hear it? What is your responsibility after this, right? This is what I shared already in the first class. Now you cannot avoid your duty after you hear this scripture. It is extremely important because scripture is evolving as its readers evolving. Okay? So Buddhist scripture is not something static. It is evolving. It is alive and growing every day if we engage it. The scripture will do something to you, and you have the duty to do to it. If you put it into practice, it will transform your life, and that is what it does to you. And now, what you do, to it is to spread it, disseminate what you heard, what you hear, understand, and practice with others. It is a sacred responsibility. True practitioners do not open the scripture and leave it there. They engage, interact, and make the scripture live longer. Right? So, different points for the phrase, this is what I heard. What do you hear? And what are you going to do with what you hear? Right? Okay, here the setting here is very interesting. The sutra is spoken in an assembly of bhikkhus or monks, monastics, and we do not see any bodhisattvas here. We do not see in Mahayana Sutra, especially like the Lotus Sutra, Amitabha Sutra, we see many bodhisattvas in the audience, right? But this sutra, we just know that, okay, there were bhikkhus, and bhikkhus in the early tradition achieved the highest achievement of bhikkhu is arahant, which is a little bit different from a bodhisattva. Maybe for those who are new to Buddhism, it will be a little bit, it requires a little bit of learning to know what is an arahant and what is a bodhisattva. It simply means that in Mahayana Buddhism, a bodhisattva is someone who are awakened and has vows to also save others beings, like Avalokitesvara or Kuan Yin is one great bodhisattva. So in this setting, we only see monks. It may indicate that, that this sutra was written down very early in Buddhist history. We also don't see any lay people presented in the setting. So I think it is about the principle of meditation, because in the past, during the Buddha's time, monks and nuns had more time to meditate, and lay people supported the monasteries financially, medically, and foodly. So it has changed now, right? Now, what is your role in practice and disseminating the Dharma? Now you participate in something that were not available in the past. Now you, lay people, also listen, practice the Diamond Sutra. It is wonderful that now many lay people engage in learning and practicing this sutra, For this opportunity to be available for you, there were our predecessors who passed down to us. So now, we have to make this opportunity available for future generations. We are responsible to continue and pass down to later generations, right? Because thanks to our ancestors, practitioners, so that we have this sutra today. Nowadays, it is not about your status anymore, whether you are a lay person or a monastic. The responsibility is the same. When you think like that, we're free from any stress and overthinking about, our personal problems. Because, when our problem is tiny, but we only focus on those problems, they become bigger, right? Now we focus on something much bigger than ourselves. We take on this responsibility to pass down the tradition. We don't focus on our small problem anymore. For example, if you take a pen, this is a practice. Take a pen and then put it in your face, in front of your face, just like this. It's trying to, see through the pen. The pen is small, right? But then if you move really close to your eyes, it becomes bigger and it's cover your eye. So your problem sometimes is like this, but if you focus too much on it and it becomes big. Now, you know that you have a bigger responsibility. You have something bigger than yourself. So you move your problem a little bit further away. It's still there. Your problem is still there. But you see many other things, many other beautiful things, right? So when we think big, think about other people, think about something bigger than ourselves, we are not caught up in our own problems. Many of our problems could be solved easily when we, step out of them and look from different angles. So the way that we think about our responsibility, the setting of this sutra, and how are we going to pass this tradition down? That is the bigger question for us, and that is also very therapeutic, So next part is the act of going for alms every day. The Buddha regularly and disciplinarily went for alms every day, right? This is the first lesson we should learn. Discipline is the key. Don't overlook this setting. Don't overlook this first small part of the sutra. This is the first lesson the Buddha trying to tell us. How often do we meditate? How often do we visit our pure and undisturbed mind? How do you make yourself to sit? It is about discipline. The Buddha's teaching are combined of verbal teaching and bodily teaching. His disciplinary actions are ways of teaching, If you have children, sometimes words don't mean much to them, but your action do, right? That is how you can discipline or make an example out of your action. So I remember an incident about bodily teaching from my teacher when I was a novice at the temple. So when I were in Vietnam, we have to wake up at 3:30 in the morning to prepare for 4 a.m. Practice, right? And as a kid, the thing I loved the most was to sleep. And waking up at 3:30 was not fun, right? So I took every chance I have after the practice to take a nap. Short nap is precious, But then, every day my teacher, after the practice, he would take the broom, and he went around to sweep the temple. And seeing that, how could you sleep, right? Your teacher is teaching you. He did that every morning, So that's how he teach. How he teaches with his bodily action, no words, just do it, and that is his way of discipline ourselves, his students, So the Buddha went for alms was not entirely about food, but it is about people he saw and he met every day. No discrimination from house to house, standing there for a little bit and going to the next house. It was a chance for them to listen to the teaching as well. When they offer food, the Buddha was their counselor. The Buddha was the first, psychotherapist for those people. And they could ask any question, or maybe just receive a blessing from the Buddha. How fortunate they were to have encountered Buddha, right? I sometimes wonder, what would I ask if the Buddha, were here? Do you have a question for the Buddha if you were to meet him? So this you see, with this small act that he does every day, he kind of provided people a chance to meet him. And people, I would say that many people at the time some people would be bored to see him every day. I don't have anything to eat. Why you keep begging for food in front of my house? The Buddha did that. He just went from house to house. So when we do things regularly, we call it habit, right? Many times we do it mindlessly. We do it with, discriminating thoughts. We may like it or we don't like it, but the Buddha is different. He mindfully goes to meet people, to learn about people where he resides. This is engaged Buddhism, a kind of Buddhism that does not leave the world behind. There are people who just want to seek their own liberation, but since the Buddha's time, he always engaged in the lives of people who supported and who lived in his vicinity, right? So he did it regularly regardless of how people responded. Some may like him, some may not, but he never gave up on people, right? Maybe I see something in chat and I just want to pause a moment for something that we see in here. So, okay, chat function is not working, all right? Something for something that tests us about our patience. It's okay. We will fix that next time. All right. I think I have enough of teaching today. Okay. We will continue this teaching next class. I want to spend some time to hear from you because this is I don't want this class to be like one-way communication. I want it to be interactive. So let's invite our second friend, David, to read the passage again, and this time read slowly and integrate what you heard from my explanation to the passage. Okay, please.
Chapter 1. The setting. This is what I heard one time when the Buddha was staying in the monastery in Anathapindika's park in the Jeta Grove near Sravasti with a community of 1,250 bhikkhus, fully ordained monks. That day, when it was time to make the round for alms, the Buddha put on his Sagati robe, holding his bowl, went into the city of Sravasti to seek alms food, going from house to house. When the alms round was completed, he returned to the monastery to eat the midday meal. Then he put away his Sagati robe and his bowl, washed his feet, arranged his cushion, and sat down.
Thank you. Again, let's contemplate the setting and visualize as much as you can from this passage. Be there. Maybe be in the assembly, or be someone who, would offer alms to the Buddha. What would that mean to you? What would it mean to be with the Buddha or a Buddha? What would you say? How wonderful it is to have a chance to offer to the Buddha, to be in his presence. Would the Buddha be nice? Would he, smile? Would he teach you this sutra directly? Or would he yell at you because you are not very good at meditation? Would he say that? All right, then return to this setting. We are many Buddhas, because in Mahayana tradition, we believe that each of us has nature that is similar to a Buddha, the awakening nature, right? So we are in the presence of all Buddhas. We are small Buddhas. Sometimes we get angry. Sometimes we are jealous. Sometimes sometimes our presence is joy to others. And we allow every moment to be, regardless of how much we like it and how much we don't like it. And ask ourselves, what would Shakyamuni Buddha would do in this situation? Okay, so I will open the room for question, and I see some question in the chat because the chat function is not working. So if you have question, raise your hand and we will get to you. But the first question from Matt is that what part of the world, the present day country, would this sutra has been written in? I would say it's India. The Buddha was born in Nepal nowadays, but he traveled many parts in northern India to teach. So I would say, to be safe, it is India for sure. Yes. Second question from Christina. Would the Buddha still find enlightenment if he was born in this century? As now there are so many distractions. This is a good question for the Buddha. I don't know, maybe so this is a question for me or for the Buddha, because
sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I'm reading a book, and I'm reading the Old Pathway Clouds.
Okay.
And it's beautiful, but I'm like, okay, if this was in 2024, how could he focus under a tree without his phone?
I think he would love to answer your question. All right. So many distractions, right? And we believe and we promise ourselves that we are Buddha to be. So what our Buddha tell us to do with this, many distractions. So explore that, different setting has different distractions, right? But the practice is very similar. So try to go deeper into the practice and see how much external distraction can impact your life, or the internal distraction are the one who are more, distracting. All right, so I see the hand of Ten Vo. Is that a hand? Yeah, go ahead.
So, for those of you who don't know what a pilgrimage ceremony is, like we have one in like the churches in the Vietnamese churches. So I took my taking refuge ceremony very seriously, but yet I am still not disciplined to where I would want to be. So how would you be more disciplined and take that ceremony more seriously? because I really took it seriously, but now I'm not that disciplined, and I still am ham jelly, and that means have fun, guys. So, how do I like discipline myself to
be a better Buddhist? Is that?
yes.
um, Anybody? Any apart my monastic training, is very, very strict. So that I don't want to impose this discipline on you, but I want to hear from you as, lay friends who have to deal with, difficult people every day and who have a lot of distractions. How would you discipline yourself? How do you make yourself sit? How do you meditate when you don't like it? Please do share. So you are all bad Buddhists? Or bad practitioners?
I mean, I wasn't a bad Buddhist until recently. So, yeah.
No, we have many great practitioners here. They are just humble, being humble. So, yes, we have Thien Phước, please. And I want to hear new voices, okay? Please do share.
Hi, everybody. You hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, firstly, I would like to define the discipline. We are all grown up when we don't do not understand. I think personally, I do not understand the discipline. The word discipline in the sutra, like the kind of discipline you apply to a child, to even a teenager. The reason why, when we do discipline so strictly to a certain level, you will destroy the creativity. You won't think anymore. You just try to concentrate something, to do something, follow that rigidly. You don't do creative. I'm a musician, so I have to happen to be a Buddhist as well. I write Buddhist music. I have to do the discipline in a way that my mind still creative. So if you think discipline like a child, it is not the way I believe. So you have to think about discipline in a way that you can still deal with distraction and you still have creativity. It's just a few words. I just would like to leave the time for other people as well. So that's my opinion.
Thank you. You Bao, go ahead.
Dear Thầy, dear friends, I just want to share a little bit of my personal experience in practicing. I feel like, at least for me, it's work when we start slow. If we push ourselves too hard, it could lead to dismotivation. So I feel like the key point of practicing, at least to me, is that watch our feeling, mindfulness of how we are along our path of practice. So if you feel like the more you practice, you are getting more tired, less motivated, you not enjoy the practicing, then I think you're pushing it too hard. So if, let's say when you start meditation by, starting out by 5 or 10 minutes, but you enjoy doing it every day, that is the motivation to keep you practicing, and then because of the enjoyment from practice, then you can enhance in do it, sit longer when time go by. So as they mentioned, the middle way is the key. So you have to know what is the extreme to you, and adjust yourself. So I don't think it's have a fixed formula for everybody, but know yourself. I think that my experience. Thank you.
So do about take it slow is what you mean?
Yeah, for me, when I start out with meditation, I did not sit very long. I start out with, 10 minutes per day, but I do it consistently. Make sure that I do it every day. And then eventually the 10 minutes feel like it passed by so fast, and I am increasing it to, 20 minutes, and eventually I can sit an hour without an issue. But if I'm start out sitting 1 hour on the get-go, then I would not be able to do it the next day. And because of the break in between practice, then the consistency and the commitment is not strong anymore.
Thank you, Yuval, for that. Hi, Thai, and then Matt.
Yeah, I think Du's point is really important. It's really good. But another thing that helps in the modern world where there are many distractions is to rely on routine. And that's, one big part of discipline that's even in the text here, in this second paragraph. It says that day when it was time to make the rounds, that's when he did it. It was the routine, and that's one thing that really helps me. And here for me personally, you can rely on technology. The phone is a really big distraction, but you can set a consistent reminder every morning. You can even automate things such as when you wake up, you can make it so that in 15 minutes after you've done your morning routine, you can have it make an alarm for you to remember to sit down if you can.
Thank you for that. Matt?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, like, I tend to be one of those people that struggle to sit down and find time and carve out time in the day to meditate. But I've found that you can really be mindful in anything you're doing. So even if I'm like doing the dishes, if you do it with mindfulness, that can also be a type of meditation, or even just like walking to your car or walking down the street. If you're doing it mindfully, you can turn that into a meditation. So it doesn't necessarily have to be just sitting down. It can also just be day-to-day life.
Right. Thank you. And I would also, with all that, and one thing I, for my personal practice, sometimes our mind is just trying to trick us, and I know this mind pretty well, that whenever it say, okay, yesterday I was doing something late, I was tired, so maybe today I would allow myself to sleep in a little bit. That is my mind trying to sabotage my routine practice, right? And here, I've been in the US for several years, and I heard often that people say we have free will to kind of decide what to do. I don't think we have free will. Think about it, our something we call will is so much influenced by the culture. So where is the free in that? There's nothing free, right? So the free will thing is like a myth to me. You just have to, when you say that, okay, this is my free will, I choose not to sit. That's just being, so whenever, many times, right, your mind will trick you like that. But for sure, there are moments that you have to balance. You have to be aware of your stage. You don't try to be too harsh on your practice. It's not ideal, right? But many times as human, we all have this common distraction, common, enemy, if you will, that trying to kind of stop us from especially our spiritual practice, So with all what everybody is sharing with, a little bit of caution when we deal with this monkey mind is very tricky. Right? All right, Yana, please.
I was just going to say that, first of all, I am certainly not, I don't know. I'm trying to beat this problem also. But I noticed that if you win the small battle of the starting of the practice in the morning, then you win the entire war. It seems like if I get up and I'm able to sit in bed, there's that voice that'll come in your head, oh, just stay in bed. Oh, don't worry about it. And if I win the little battle in the moment, and I actually do get out and I make my offerings and I get the day started, the whole day goes better. Yeah, that was all. Anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, the first intention is always important, right? First intention of the day. Yeah.
So maybe I just need to do that every morning and I'll just be more well off.
Don't even try to fight in your head, okay? If you fight, you lose. I've done that many times, fighting between, oh, should I get up or should I just sleep a little bit more? I sleep every single time. So whenever trying to do something, you want to set a routine, just if you trying to fight, at least be aware of that fighting and let the thought, just rise, and you step out of that thought to observe it. You're not in that fight. You step out and observe it like and that is already a practice. That would definitely makes you a good Buddhist. So don't try to fight your thoughts. Okay, it's a part of it. All right, so we are at 8:15 now. Time flies, right? And yes, this is wonderful, and thank you all for your time, your presence, and your energy and your contribution. Again, if you have any questions or concerns, please send me an email. I will try to answer everybody's email or in the class. And at least remember the gratitude journal. Do that. That's a great practice. Do that every day and your life will be much better. I promise you that. Maybe this week reread that setting part. Okay, reread it and see if you can be in that setting with the Buddha, and see if any other kind of insight arise. Okay. All right, thank you so much, and we would like to invite Nguyen Thiện to read our dedication of merits.
With gratitude, may the wisdom and compassion we nurture while exploring the Diamond Sutra illuminate our path. With gratitude, may it lead us to deeper understanding, peace, healing, harmony, and joy for all living beings. With gratitude, may our dedication to learning and practicing the Buddha's teachings help lessen suffering and guide ourselves and others towards enlightenment. With gratitude, May all find happiness. May all be free from suffering. May all beings reach enlightenment.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, and have a great moment whenever you are.
Yeah. Thank you very much, thầy.
Thanks. Bye. Bye.
Yeah.
Everybody enjoy the rain. If it's raining outside today. Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I'll
everyone.
see you next
Thank you,
week.
thầy.
Have a good night.
Thank you, Yuval.
Thank you, thầy.